Good morning from Panhandle Outdoors, America's only daily outdoor TV show. Your source for fishing, hunting, and information for folks who enjoy the great outdoors. Now sit back, relax. It's Panhandle Outdoors.
Good morning, folks. Welcome to Panhandle Outdoors. I'm Winston Chester. Glad you're here this Monday morning, right after Thanksgiving. Hope everyone had a wonderful Thanksgiving break. And now we got to press on between now and Christmas and all kind of outdoor activities going on. But first, let's take a look at our weather, brought to us by Drew Pollard's company, Gulf Coast Air Conditioning, up there in Southport. We're going to get Drew on the show in a couple of days, so we're glad to have him back. We're looking at a high today of 66, a low of 49. Water temperature is still at 68 degrees at the end of the pier. Let's look at our Monday moon forecast, brought to us by Mountain Dew. Get out and do. We're looking at the new moon is going to be Friday. It's going to be actually this Friday, December 1st will be the new moon. And then we're looking at the full moon of December is going to be the 19th of December will be the full moon. So that's what we got looking forward to right before Christmas, having that full moon. So tide chart brought to us by Kenton Forest Lawn, right on 23rd Street. Looking at a good tide today. The low tide this morning at 12:06. I'm sorry, at noon at 12:06. It's dropping out. It's going to be low right at noon. It's coming in till tonight about 7:38, and the wind will be coming out of northeast at about 6. Okay, let's take a break. We'll come back with our special guest. Welcome back, folks, and welcome back to our special guest, Steve Shea.
Good to be here, Winston.
So glad to have you back. We're thinking about last time we was on, actually back in the springtime.
Yeah, I think it was spring. Usually we're a lot more active in doing shows, but it's been busy.
Where have you been?
I've been working.
You've been all over. We got pictures of proving and all. And we've had what we're going to do. We're going to talk a little bit about fishing. Mainly we're going to talk about hunting, different things going on with it. Some of his trips he's had and what's coming up here in the Panhandle as far as with him being a wildlife biologist. But we're glad to have you back.
Glad to be back.
Let's start talking about the snapper season. How was your snapper season?
I'll tell you what, the snapper season was awesome. As any of you guys that were out there, the weather was pretty decent. We caught a lot of fish, and that's why, unfortunately, the FWC did not give us extra days in the fall.
Isn't that aggravating?
We were all looking forward to having those extra days, which they didn't happen. Well, and the reason is because there was so many fish out there that all the fishermen met the quota during the regular season, so we didn't have those additional days. So to me, not having those extra days was testament that the weather was relatively good. A lot of the guys got to get out on the water, and there was a lot of fish there, and they caught the quota during the regular season. So those are all good signs that the snapper fishery is doing well.
That is good. But I know there are a lot of aggravated recreational people in the fall when they didn't get one just for a couple of weekends they asked. But anyway, let's look at some of these pictures here. We got all kind of. That's this first one here.
Yep.
Let's see.
Yeah, that's my daughter Ashley and her boyfriend Jamie Young. He's actually a sheriff's deputy here in Bay County.
Awesome.
But I had them out on the water one day. We caught a good mess of red snapper and grouper.
Going fishing with Dad.
Yeah. And that's kind of typical size we're catching. We catch some fish up in the 25-pound class, but a lot of 10 to 12-pound snapper. We were catching out there. But
yes,
that's my good buddy Eric Richardson. He's basically my mate wherever we go out on my boat, and that's a limit of snapper we caught one day.
Listen, I know Eric well. He actually cleared a lot next door to me about a couple of weeks ago. We had a good talk and all. He was trying to call you, get some trips lined up. I remember you were somewhere out in Kansas somewhere about a couple weeks ago.
I tried to get you out on the water and you couldn't make it. You were someplace.
Well, we had to go up to Tennessee. I remember you asked me. I appreciate it.
Yeah. And here's another trip. That's Eric with a big old gag grouper he caught. So there, like I said, there's plenty of fish out there, and
that's a nice group.
That's a nice group.
It sure
nice
is.
grouper.
Wow.
Sure is. That's Eddie Henry, a friend of mine. Used to work with him out at Tyndall, and we got out on the water one day and had a good catch as well.
That is a good catch. So let's see. And okay, one.
Yeah, one thing this year, it was really kind of cool. We would get into some schools of big vermilion, and we were catching 3, 4. So we actually caught some 5-pound vermilion. There wouldn't be a lot of them in the school, but we'd catch half a dozen out of a group that size, and you drifting over that hard bottom. That's the size vermilion beeliners that we were catching. Nice fish.
That is a nice one right there. I know. Let's see, one more.
That's my daughter again with Jamie. Yeah.
Get back to those beeliners. we were talking about a lot of folks had good luck with them and all, but they're a lot of fun to catch too.
Oh yeah, now I'd rather eat a beeliner than just about any fish.
Everybody says that.
Good fish.
They really are. And how deep a water were y'all fishing most of the time?
Most of the time I'm fishing between 140 and 150. About 45 miles out is the typical spots I go to. I like to map hard bottom. I try to stay away from the point source structures because a lot of people know about them. They get overfished. But if you can find acres and acres of hard bottom and just map it based on where you catch fish, and then depends on what the wind is, and you just establish your drift line over those places. And because of that, it tends to get less pressure. There's always fish there. It repopulates very quickly. So that's kind of how I do most of my fishing now.
And well, you see the results of it too.
Oh yeah, yeah. You catch a limit every time you go.
I know. We're talking about public numbers, and they're all great and all. And you catch some nice fish off public numbers, but if you can get out, like you said, sort of away and make your own little map.
Yeah. The big thing is you have to put the time in. So every trip I go is you catch fish, and then if you have time, you basically go exploring and try to map some more bottom. So that's. I used to fish point sources, but I don't do that much anymore.
Really?
Yeah, sure don't.
Oh, you're seeing a lot of good bottom. You see any kind of structure? Have you run across much structure?
Oh, there's a lot of structure out there. A lot of structure, and you always find different things too. But you're probably having an oscillation of anywhere from 1 to some places 5 foot. In some of those hard bottom areas, and the good thing about the hard bottom is the diversity of fish species is tremendous. I mean, you'll catch every type of fish from all species of the grouper. I mean, I actually caught a Cuban hogfish out there last year, which is unbelievable. So that's what's fun about hard bottom fishing is the species diversity is really spectacular.
You're talking about scouting. That's something when hunting season ends and all. A lot of times you have that little window time for you, but that's a great time to go there and scouting in the springtime and doing that. Good point. Okay, well, that covers our fishing, and obviously you see he's had a very good summer and fall. Well, summer really of rest after fishing. So now we're going to take a break. We're going to come back and talk about some hunting, what he's doing, and what's coming up here in Panhandle. So we'll be right back. Okay, welcome back. Sitting with Steve Shea, wildlife biologist and actually a great outdoorsman. Is there anything in outdoors you don't like?
No. I don't like getting stuck in the woods.
I know.
Which I've done way too many times in my life. But
do you when you go with other people? You don't go by yourself often, do you, or do you?
I do some, but most of the time I'm going taking other people. Part of the fun to me, especially as you get older, is sharing it with others.
That's good, and I've done that too. And over recent years, I've ended up going out by myself a lot. My wife don't really appreciate it because she worries about me. And honey, I'm fine. I'm hanging from a tree. Okay, I'm fine.
Yeah, as long as you're not hanging upside down, right?
That's right. Yeah, I make it out. That's almost happened. Okay, look, we got some great pictures, and we're talking about trail cams.
Right.
And how have they? Just the innovation of trail cams is just rejuvenated hunters and all.
Oh, unbelievable.
And you use your job to study and all that, but we'll get to that later. But this is your own personal stuff here. So let's talk about this first picture.
Yeah, well, I have a lease in Missouri I've had for 17 years, and what I'll do is I'll go up, put cameras up in August, and basically do a buck inventory of the farm. And these are some of the photos of bucks that I got pictures of this year, and we're going to show you 5 photos, and these are all deer that we ended up killing. And it's funny, as doing trail cameras, I'll identify which deer I think we're going to be able to kill based on how active they are during the day versus at night. There's some deer that we only get pictures of at night, and I know it's going to be tough killing this deer. But these are some of the ones. This is a buck my son killed, and we'll show you pictures of that. This is another photo.
And this is a different buck from what we just saw. Okay, so these are going to be 5 different bucks.
5 different bucks. And this is another buck we had photos of.
Okay.
And
all right.
Here's another one we had photos of.
These are all different deer.
Yeah, and the last 3 photos are all from the same scrape. So it just shows you.
No kidding. Yeah. When is the rut out there?
The rut is the first 2 weeks of November up in Missouri is prime time. And this is a buck I ended up killing. So this is another good deer. These are all 150 class bucks that I'm showing you right now.
Goodness gracious.
And here's another one here. Didn't get him up close, but he's a good.
That is a nice one.
Yeah. He had a bunch of some extra junk on him.
So you have studied these. You watched them in the cameras and all, and pretty well getting their patterns, or
Yeah, and all those photos are from Spy Point cameras.
Okay.
So they're sent them right to my phone. Yeah.
Pretty well. Okay, so here we go.
So now
here's the harvest.
The harvest photos. This is my son. My son has hunted with me up Missouri, for the last 4 years, and he's killed a nice buck like this 3 out of the last 4 years.
That's a pretty good trip.
Yeah, this deer was about one score 153. He killed that with his bow. Nice buck.
Oh man.
And then this is the one I ended up killing. It's unfortunate his eye guards got broke off, but he's another 150-inch deer I got with my crossbow. Nice buck.
Okay.
And then this deer, this is a friend of mine who lives down in Osceola County. He works for the Osceola County Sheriff's Office, but this was a nice buck, scored in the low 150s. Nice deer, got with a bow.
Oh man, all bow hunting.
Yeah. And then we got some other locals here on my lease. This is Hal Keels, who lives over in Port St. Joe, and this was a nice 152-inch. I think there was like 12 scoreable points on this deer. He killed this in the gun season. I'll tell you a funny story about this deer. He was crossing the creek, and his buddy Mitch Burke was with him, and he was just messing around. He was carrying a doe decoy. He was going to put it out in the field, and he put it down in the creek like the decoy was drinking, just as a joke. And he looked. There was a big buck standing on the creek bank, looking at him. But he had the decoy, so he just propped the decoy in the creek. And the deer was looking at that decoy, and he propped his rifle up and shot it off the bank.
You're kidding.
Unbelievable story.
What a story.
I know it. But if he didn't have that decoy with him, it never would have happened. So the buck was kind of confused. What I think, from the behavior of the deer, he told me, that deer was looking out in the field, and he would look back at that decoy. The buck was probably on a doe. And then the doe separated from him. Then he saw that doe decoy, and he just didn't know what was going on, and he stayed there long enough for him to shoot it, using the decoy as a rifle rest.
What a story. That's a hunting story right there.
Pretty crazy. That's how. Great. And then the property appraiser for Gulf County, Mitch Burke, Mitch killed some nice deer on this place. That's one of those photos we had. That scored 155, I believe that deer did. So, so this is the first time I think we killed 5 deer over 150 on the same year on the farm. So we had a really good year. No monster bucks. We had one in the 170s we never saw, but we were getting all night pictures of him. But we killed some really good, good bucks this year. Good bucks. Yeah.
And do you have food processed through the year, or just got tree massed, or
no?
What are they, just natural food?
Yeah, we have about 2,000-acre farm, and it's got 500 acres of row crops on it, corn and soybeans, so you don't need any food plots. They harvested the crops while we were up there hunting. We got about 500 acres of woodlots, and then about 1,000 acres of pasture and CRP. So we really have a good mix of cover and food. There's a creek running right through the middle of it, so you have water year round. So it's
How did you originally find these 16 years ago, these acreage and all? How did you originally run across
Well,
it?
it's funny, I'm chairman of the Southeast Deer Study Group, so I'm friends with all the deer biologists in all the 16 southeastern states. And the deer biologists at the time in Missouri, I said, hey, see if you can find me a really good lease in Missouri. Because I've hunted Missouri before, knew that you could buy your tags over the counter for gun and bow. So it was right up against Iowa. So he found me this lease, and I said, if you find me it, I'll give you a permanent membership in it for free. And so that's how I ended up getting this property. Oh yeah.
Good deal.
So. It's a good place. Great turkeys too.
So you go? How long do you go up there? When is turkey season up there?
Turkey season comes in like the 3rd week of April. I usually only go up for 4 or 5 days because it's easy to kill your 2 birds in a short amount of time. Yeah.
So you do same thing. Same way, call them up, decoys.
Oh yeah. And it's phantom up there. What's interesting in Missouri, this rolling hills and open fields. So the whole fanning technique that I've told you about works very, very well up there. So but it's traditional, just calling birds in. I like just call them in. It's fun.
Yeah. Okay, we're going to take a final break. We've got more stuff to tell you, and then we're going to talk about the rest of the hunting season here in the Florida Panhandle. So we'll be right back with Steve. Okay, welcome back. Let's do our fishing game times today from Blue Water Outriggers. Each day they help us show them 6:25 to 8:25 this morning, and 6:49 to 8:49 tonight. Now you did some other things too, so we're gonna cram a lot of stuff in. So first of all, I noticed the sign shift into winter.
Yeah.
So what's going on? Where are you?
Well, I'm doing some work now out in northern Idaho and Montana, and I was out there for meetings, and a good friend of mine lives out there. He said, hey, let's go to Canada and scout for some duck hunting in southern Alberta. So this is on our trip from northern Idaho across the border into Canada. This is some of the beautiful, beautiful mountains up there in the Rockies that you cross to get into Alberta. I mean, just unbelievable.
Oh, man.
Look at that. Beautiful rivers. I mean, I talk about elk country up there. It's just crazy the amount of big game.
Now, are you in Idaho, or are you in Canada yet, or Montana?
This is actually, I think, across the border in Canada.
Okay.
This photo's taken.
So it's all the same landscape. All right, what is it?
Yeah, so it was interesting. Up in southern Alberta, you can see the Rocky Mountains in the background, and then it goes into the plains, the prairie potholes. And we, every landowner we asked permission to hunt gave us permission to hunt.
Really?
It's just unbelievable. As you know, how Canada is Canada, you cannot lease your land for hunting. Really? Like we can in the United States. But outfitters can hunt it. So the locals or landowners kind of resent the outfitters because they can make money off their land, but they can't make any. That's so if you ask permission and say, we tell, hey, we're wildlife biologists, we're up here, and they said, heck yeah, come on. And so we just find where the ducks were, and we had some great hunts. This was one of the areas we were hunting just on the outside of the mountains, you know.
Okay. And then tailgate.
Yeah, so we had an afternoon hunt, and in Canada they have higher limits. I mean, you can kill 8 ducks per day. Where in the United States you just kill 6. Yeah. But it was just some really unbelievable hunting out there. And we just scouted. We just hunted for 2 days. We just scouted, kind of breaking the ice, just to kind of lay the foundation for future hunts. And so we're going to build off that. And try to do an annual hunt out there and spend more time actually. Doing some hunting.
What were y'all shooting? What size shot? And all
I use 12 gauge, and not knowing, it depends on the situation. There's some areas that we saw that the birds were coming in tight, and so we'd use improved cylinder barrel with number 6s. Yep. If we were shooting a little longer range, you put the modified choke in and shoot number 3s. So you adjust your choke size. With steel shot, it holds a tighter pattern, so you kind of adjust based on the field conditions.
That's great. That's great. Okay, let's jump back here to the Florida Panhandle, and we just had Thanksgiving weekend, and now we're getting really serious in December and January hunting around here. So tell us, you sent us this map here. Yeah. Tell us what we can expect here. Well,
I'll tell you what, this just shows you, like a lot of the ranches that I managed down in Central Florida, I mean, their rut has long gone. I mean, their rut was in September. But you can see that, most of the Panhandle, we're not even into the rut yet. I mean, so we're talking about January, February in most of the Panhandle. So we got a ways to go before the hunt really gets good. But I got a lot of reports from this weekend. I mean, it was kind of cool weather for Thanksgiving weekend. Some good bucks were killed out there. And one of the things we talked about a couple of years ago is post Hurricane Michael, and the habitat that changes that occurred, and everything is so thick now, and so more bucks are surviving into those older age classes. And what we've seen last year is there was a bunch of really good bucks killed, and I think that trend is going to continue just because the habitat is so much thicker that a lot of these deer have a lot more cover, they're harder to kill. And I think we'll probably continue to see that for several years.
That is such an interesting point, and it makes a lot of sense. Like you said, some of us could not get in the woods and then harvest them, and they lived another year and then another year. Yep. And that's a good point.
Yeah. So I think you guys are probably going to see this, and you'll see it on your trail cameras too. So you'll start seeing a better age structure, and we've seen it on some of the areas that I manage too. The age structure just appears to be really, really good. And then the forage, the amount of food out there, it's all knocked down. There's a lot more forage available to the deer within reach, so there's a subsequent impact on their physical condition, antler development. So if you guys have kind of seen, the last couple of years an improvement, some of that is a beneficial consequence of Hurricane Michael.
That's a great point. And coming from a biologist that knows what I'm talking about, and I agree 100% with what you're saying. Yeah. Speaking of something I agree with another 100% is what you're doing, you and your outfit doing, hunters for the hungry. Yep. I know, what a great idea. Tell the folks about it.
Yeah, and we really appreciate the hunters that have participated the last couple of years. 2 years ago, we established a new nonprofit organization in Florida called Florida Hunters for the Hungry. I'm actually president of that statewide organization now. And here locally in Panama City, the Deer Shack, Cody Barron's, is the participating meat processor that the hunters can bring their deer, any deer or hog, they can bring in and donate it, and they'll process it. We fundraise. The St. Joe Foundation was a big contributor this year. We got a grant through them. We pay for the processing. All you have to do is drop the deer and hogs off, and all that goes to Christian food banks here in Bay County. Last year, we provided over 17,000 meals through the meat that was processed by hunters locally. I mean, so that's what kind of an impact. And it's funny is I'm really involved in the Catholic Church here, St. John's Catholic Church in Panama City. My pastor, Father Kevin McEwen, I've made into a big hunter now, so he hunts with me. But I was talking to a lady that works at Catholic Charities, and she says, we have no meat right now, and people come in asking for the venison sausage. And so it's a lot of people that we take for granted the food that we have. And people that don't have that, for them to actually have a non-perishable, a perishable food item, that all they get is donations for canned goods, things like that. Yeah. To actually have real meat that they can actually cook for their family, it's just tremendous. And it's not possible without you guys donating your deer and hogs. And so especially guys that have big deer hog populations and you don't know what to do with them, kill as many as you can kill, bring them to the deer shack, and we'll have them processed and feed the hungry here in Bay County. What
a win-win situation. Take some people out hunting and all, and then let them have a hog, but then you bring 2 or 3 back to the deer shack. And, and I know, so we're about to run out of time. What a great organization. We're going to keep you posted on it, and
sure will.
They can as the season progresses, they can just call you or call Cody and just drop them off and that process. Yeah,
and if anyone ever has questions on that, if you look on Shea Wildlife, and it has all my contact information on there, I'll give you all the information you need on Florida Hunters for the Hungry and where to donate and how the process works.
Okay, Shea Wildlife. Okay, Steve, thank you, buddy.
Appreciate it. It's good seeing you, Winston.
Always a good show with Steve. Thank you all for watching our show. Do something good today for your fellow man. Enjoy the great outdoors, and God bless.
God bless.
Thanks for watching America's only daily outdoor TV show, Panhandle Outdoors with Winston Chester, featuring hunting, fishing, and other activities and information to help you enjoy the great outdoors. Join us next time for Panhandle Outdoors.